Hey, Brian and Rod, it's T and
Aggie.
Yay! We decided that it'd be a little bit more fun to talk about some of our discussions on Skype and record it instead of just, typing out our responses in written form. So, we are going to have two different conversations today. The first one that we're going to talk about is about robotics. And then we'll do a second one a little bit later about drones. So, yeah, robotics, as I'm sure both of you have read online, Aggie and I are just complete experts on that.
Absolutely.
Anyways, Aggie, I'll let you start since you said that you found a great resource.
Okay, so I was looking into the We Do 2.0 through Lego, which Rod had included in the course content. And they have some kits available for robotics for elementary schools, which you can get a classroom pack for $750, or I think they had like smaller packs that were about $160, which is a little bit more doable. Now I know T, with your board, you guys have that resource center where you can sign things out from, so price-wise, I think that becomes a bit more doable when it's something that's being signed out by multiple schools, and so the cost sort of gets picked up by multiple schools.
Like the big, huge one, you mean?
Just the one.
The $700 one.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes. And then the other interesting thing that I found at the moment until the end of December is that there is a curriculum pack that can be downloaded for free until the end of December. Which just has a bunch of different projects, science things already available, so you don't have to necessarily come up with what your students are creating with the robotics kits, which is kind of a nice way to get started into it, and then once you have a better idea, you can sort of figure out from there, have your kids play around with it and make some things, which is kind of neat.
I did find, I think I've mentioned online that I've had my kids, they've been doing some coding. And so the funny thing with my class this year is that although I'm teaching a straight grade 3, it's almost like I'm teaching a complete split because of all the needs that are in there. And coding is actually one of the few activities that, because there's so many multiple entry points to it, everyone's engaged, everyone's participating at their level, which is awesome. And that's kind of, after looking at everything that just on our course about robotics, I'm thinking there has to be a way, or there's probably product out there that will offer that same opportunity for a class like mine that has really, really low and really, really high kids. And I'm thinking maybe this We Do thing might work like that. I don't know.
So when I taught at Oki, so I talked a little bit in the course post about Team 2026, which is the robotics.
I watched the videos, by the way. They're awesome.
Crazy is that? Yeah, how crazy is that?
I know. Eh? I love that when he said, can I drive your robot? They're like, no.
The students have to pay quite a bit to be on the team because they also travel down to the States and stuff. Now I'm sure there's stuff available for students who can't afford it. And there are quite a lot of sponsors as well, which is crazy. But anyways, the point I wanted to make was when a few years ago when I was there, I had a grade 11 student in my grade 9 applied math class who definitely struggled academically. He had a lot of issues with his fine motor skills, but he was on the team as well. And so when you look at a team creating robots, it's 6 weeks, something specific for a
that was crazy.
And they're winning. There's clearly lots of different tasks within the team to be doing. So somebody who academically, I mean, he was in my grade 9 locally developed class a couple years earlier. So I mean, clearly academically he wasn't strong, and then his fine motor skills were horrible. And he was able to be a part of that
right?
Right? So it's, I mean, you look at it and you think, those are the best and the brightest, and certainly those students were on that team as well. And I just put a post in which includes an article of 3 of the students who went on. I think 2 of them work at Tesla and 1 works at Google. And I mean, that all came out of being on that team. So it obviously allows for multiple entry.
Well, and I always find it really interesting because in my class I have this enormous bin of Lego, and if there's indoor recess or they they have Friday fun on Fridays, so if they're done all their work, they get a little bit of free time, which has always just been, for them, they think it's free time. For me, it's a time where I sit back and just take notes on like their social skills, how they get along with each other, who can cooperate, and I'm doing all of that. But one thing I always notice is my children in my classes every single year that are diagnosed with language-based learning disabilities, so those kids that do not fit into the cookie-cutter system of our education system, those are the ones that create the best Lego items. So they can just, the stuff that they build is so intricate and so beyond anything like that I could build. And I'm good building a box. That's about it. But I'm always really impressed with that. And then when we kind of, like when I was just delving into this topic, I kept thinking about those kids and thinking, it's already connected to Lego. So I'm glad to hear that the robotics piece was still not too difficult for those kids, because that's what I was worried about, right? I don't want it to be too difficult because everything seems too difficult for them in school on a daily basis. And so that would be great, like to combine those two and still have them feel like they're really successful and have them take the lead on something would be great for them for self-esteem, right?
Yes.
So
yeah, it's totally true. No, it's funny how
it's totally true. No, it's funny how when it comes to kids actually being hands-on and involved, some of the kids that, like you said, in our current education system, they don't seem to do well. I had a student in my grade 9 locally developed science class a couple years ago, who, when we did the electronics unit, he was like, can I bring in a pair of speakers and hook them up to a circuit and explain what's going on?
And then come over to my house and hook it up for me.
Right?
Since I don't want you to know right away.
Exactly.
I don't want you to know right away. It's amazing how sometimes the kids who can't necessarily sit down and listen to a lesson and then do the work the way we traditionally would have are actually amazingly creative thinkers and excel in these areas. So, it does include multiple entry points, but sometimes when we're looking at those lower entry points for some of our students, it's not even those students who
it's true, right? And I also find too that my students who do really well with their problem-solving abilities, just creating those Lego things, whether it's a truck or a boat or like whatever it is, they come up with these crazy inventions. They're the ones that will sit and problem solve. They just persevere through it. Whereas my other students who are usually really successful in my classroom, they get very frustrated with that hands-on learning piece. And they're the ones that give up right away with it because they just want it to be a simple answer and to do it this way. So I know one of the little people in my class, they had created a model of the Titanic. I'm like, of course you did. And one of their little friends wanted to do it too, and they're like, well, where's the book that you made this from? Lego provides those books. They're like, no, I just created this. And they're like, but how did you do that? And so it's funny because my language-based learners are so pigeonholed into that learning style. So it would be good to make, to give them that opportunity to learn in a different way, right? And to kind of, improve those skills.
I think it goes to show how our education system as it is right now.
I think it goes to show how our education system as it is right now is failing everybody. Because even the kids who are doing well, we're not actually preparing them for what is needed now, right? Because we don't need students to sit in rows in factories anymore. And if our top kids can't do what needs to be done, and we don't give the kids who struggle with that the opportunity to flourish in what they're good at, we're not preparing anybody, right? And so the hands-on learning and the problem solving, the kids who get the answers right away have never had to problem solve, right? Whereas your other kids who don't tend to do well and can problem solve, it's because that's
true.
Their whole life. They've had to problem solve through everything, right? So we need to give them way more opportunities to do that. And I think in reading this and looking back at the robotics team at OP, I sort of always left it as, that's the robotics team, they do amazing stuff. But reading through the article and seeing how that environment helps prepare kids for really amazing jobs that other kids aren't getting. Well, what am I doing in my classroom then to help prepare kids at Delta where we don't have a robotics team? Or even back at OP for the kids who weren't on the robotics team. What are we doing that is helping prepare the kids? And I think that there's different ways that we can include robotics in our classes so that, or even just any type of problem solving, right? Anything that's getting away from the typical, let me teach you a lesson, like you do these problems, like actual real life problem solving scenarios where they have to sit and work, and sometimes they feel like they're not.
It was really interesting.
And that's okay.
There's a lot of people that I work with that have that attitude. Well, kids aren't good problem solvers, like they just don't try, they just don't persevere, and that's where the conversation stops. But you pointed out it's us as teachers that we need to change. The system is broken, so we need to fix it in some way, and that's not. The kids aren't just going to magically become better problem solvers by persevering. They're going to become better problem solvers if we teach them in that way. And that, I feel like, we're really lucky. The people in our course, I think we're really self-reflective in that way. But as a whole in education, I don't know. There's a lot of people that's a really hard thing for them to do, to step back and look at where the root of the problem lies. Well, that requires teaching to change, and change is not welcomed with open arms all the time for everyone. So
it's not. But I think also, if you think about it, the people who
it's not. But I think also, if you think about it, the people who became teachers generally did well in school.
Yeah.
And so we excelled at the old way of doing things. And I know for me, I'm a horrible problem solver. Like, you give me a math problem when I was in school, I could problem solve that. But that wasn't a real, actual problem solving thing, right? I understood the language, I understood what was wanted, and I remembered what the teacher did with that, that type of problem, and I did it. So for me, especially in the first few years, it was difficult. And now that I'm starting to see how Inquiry can work, it's not easy. It's not easy for the kids, and it's not easy for me, because that wasn't something that I was ever forced to do. But it doesn't mean that I can just say, okay, well, it's not something I do well. Well, no, it's not, because I never had to practice it, right? My grade 9s 2 years ago, one day they were like, oh, another note. I was like, we don't ever have to do a note ever again. And they were like, really? I was like, yeah, we've got iPads, you guys have phones. You guys can look stuff up. And after a while, they didn't like it because they weren't used to it, right? I would start with a new topic, and I'd put up the curriculum expectations, and we'd go through it so that they could get used to, okay, I don't know what that word is. I need to look it up and really understand what the word is, because when they're researching, they need that skill, right? So we practiced it as a class, and they struggled because they weren't doing it in other classes. They weren't used to it, right? They had all of elementary school where we shut down their inquisitive nature, and we didn't teach them problem solving. And so now in grade 9, I'm like, okay, so what are your questions on this topic? And they're like, huh?
I know, right? And I really feel like robotics. Like, I'm glad that you found that product, and I am going to look into what's available through my board. But I really feel like robotics is a perfect topic for me to bring into the classroom and say, hey, you know what? I'm not the expert on this either. So let's do this together. What can you teach me? Let's play with this today. And at the end of our time, I want you to be able to tell me, what did you learn? Because I need help with this. I don't know what I'm doing. So let's do it together. And I think showing that vulnerability to them. For one thing, I know in grade 3 they would be so stoked, right?